He had two daughters. One daughter married a Samuel Jones, and one married a Samuel Sexton. In 1818, they came from New Jersey and settled here. Both son-in-laws with their daughters. They inherited the land. In 1820, Samuel Jones' son Isaac started our church, and it was called the Little Darby Baptist Church. Reverend Jones died in 1842 at the age of 40, and he's buried in Hampton Cemetery down here. The first building that was erected of our church was in the early 1820s, just a little log hut. Stood about 60 feet west of the present entrance to the cemetery. In 1844, the church bought a couple lots down on the Hancock addition of the new town and erected a new building. This site was down near the north end of Center Street where Murray Elevator was. The name actually of West Jefferson was actually Jefferson when Isaac Jones laid it out. The West was added to designate a post office because there's another Jefferson in the state. In 1883, the church had 95 members. We're growing. They raised money to erect a new building. It was built in 1886. In 1893, a portion was added. That building stood on the corner of Center Street and Main Street. In 1912, the church became part of the Central Dayton Association and had 92 members. 1923, the church building was remodeled, the outside being stuccoed and the inside wired for electricity. Cost $2,723. In 1929, the church became part of the Columbus Association. Average Sunday school was 45. Church remained the same about through the 30s and 40s. About around 1952, we had a pastor named Delmer Case came, and he was a young fella. He worked full-time at the Columbus Depot, and he built the church up, and we had cleaned the inside of the church and everything, and I think we had almost 300 members at that time. I remember the old church. It was, you went up a stairway to go into, it had a vestibule in it, had a big rope hanging down from the bell tower. You went inside and it had three sections. One center section that was kind of in a half moon circle. One center section had seats, and then you had two aisles and you had sections on each end. You had front, you had a platform raised up, and that was the stage or whatever you want to call it, with the pulpit on top and everything. The baptistry, you opened up the floor of the stage up there, and the baptistry was set down in it. The basement, I say we sat down there. It had big pillars in it, had some Sunday school room. We had a kitchen down in the basement. We'd have dinners. I remember Easter, we had Easter sunrise service, and we would have dinners and Easter morning breakfast after there. Reverend Bob Bizard was here in the 70s. Real nice fella. We got to fill the church up pretty good. And it came out that when you reach a certain capacity seating in your church, you're just going to stagnate. And we thought, okay, he led us, and we talked to a man named Cecil Converse, owned the land out here, and we had talked to him, and he would sell us 4 acres at a reasonable price. And it was quite a controversy. Some people said, oh, we're not going to be able to raise the money, it's going to be a new church. And some people said, the Lord's going to provide. And we had a big vote, and we decided, yes, we're going to build, and we did. It was saying, we had no parking down there on Main Street. It was, and they said, we're just going to stagnate. We're going to have to do something. So I'm probably not the oldest church member here, but I'm probably about the longest. Maybe Patsy Phillips was coming with her mother, I think, when I went. I'm not sure. She might be there longer than I, but I'm probably about me. I'm about it. Yeah.
What would you say if you looked 5 or 10 years into the future? What would you like to see First Baptist look like?
I would like to see it grow. I'd like to see people saved. I've seen a lot of changes in people's thinking, I think, towards the church in the last 60-some years. Um, the whole outlook of society has changed. They don't look on the church like they used to. There's so many things that distract people. I mean, Lord, they're just between the television and the sports and the games and everything, and people just seem like they can't find time to come to church. And it's the method has changed, and I'm a person that's not for change. But I've seen, the need to reach maybe the younger generation. There has to be a change. I don't particularly like to change, but I think if you, the way I think we were comfortable and everything, but the Lord said, I'm not calling you to be comfortable. And so I'm going along with the change.